Nelson 22nd edition introduces the Phoenix Sepsis score. Whether it is NEET SS or INISS, it is going to be a hot topic, potential topic for your upcoming exam. Even in your university exams or DNB exam, you are going to be asked it if the examiner feels like. So Phoenix Sepsis score is a score which has been created to aid in the early diagnosis of sepsis as well as septic shock. It has multiple parameters and it has been validated for use in the pediatric population. However, it is not validated for preterm babies. In the footnote, Nelson says that children with post-conceptional age less than 37 weeks and those above 18 years of age, equal to or above 18 years of age, it is not validated. So it is a pediatric score, the Phoenix Sepsis score. And it should be calculated at the time of initial presentation in a clinically suspected septic shock patient. So how does the table look like? Have a look at this. So the table looks a bit intimidating. Just try to understand what are the parameters. I will be explaining it. So basically, you are giving 4 types of scores in the patient. There is a 0 score, there is 1 score, 2 score, and 3 score. These are mentioned as points, but it is basically a score only. So I'm just keeping it simple here. What is sepsis? Look at this interpretation. Any patient who has suspected infection, like there are signs and symptoms of infection, and when you calculate the score and the score is equal to or more than 2, 1 or less is not sepsis, but score equal to or more than 2 in the presence of any clinical evidence of infection, you will say sepsis is present. And what is septic shock? If sepsis, as defined here, is present with at least 1 or more cardiovascular features of the score, then you call it as septic shock. I will be discussing a flowchart also, but first have a look at the parameters. The first parameter that we consider is the respiratory parameter. Second parameter is cardiovascular, which will include 2 things: whether the vasoactive medication are being used and what are the lactate values in the patient. Third will be age-related mean arterial pressure. So age-related MAP scores. This is the third component. Fourth component is coagulation profile, which will include platelet count, INR, it will include D-dimer assay and fibrinogen levels. And finally, the neurological components is the fifth score. They can ask you as simple MCQ as all of the following are components of Phoenix score except, right? Or they can ask you what is the utility of Phoenix sepsis score. So let us see the first variable, the first component, that is the respiratory part. Now, if the PaO2 to FiO2 ratio is equal to or more than 400 or SpO2 by FiO2 ratio is equal to or more than 292, then you give a score of 0. Lower the score, better it is. Higher the score, more chances of sepsis in the patient. So if the PaO2 and FiO2 falls below 400 or the patient is on any irrespective of the type of respiratory support, or SpO2 by FiO2 is less than 292, then you give a score of 1. If the PaO2 and FiO2 ratio is 100 to 200 and intermittent mechanical ventilation is being used, or SpO2 to FiO2 ratio is 148 to 220 and IMV is being used, then you give a score of 2. And when the ratio of PaO2 by FiO2 falls below 100 and SpO2 to FiO2 ratio becomes less than 148 along with IMV, then you would say patient is having a score of 3. Then you look at the cardiovascular points. We look at whether the what are the lactate levels, less than 5, 5 to 10.9, and 11 and above. And similarly, whether vasoactive medications are being used or not. What are vasoactive medication? It can be dopamine, dobutamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine, ambrinon, milrinone. Any one out of these 6, if it is being used, you will consider it to be a vasoactive medication use. Then age-related maps, there is a table which has been given. Obviously, you are not supposed to remember. You can use it for ready reference. So age-related mean arterial pressure, you have to calculate and see what score the patient is getting. Then coagulation profile, 1 point for each, but maximum up to 2 points can be taken from the coagulation parameter. So platelet count, you will look at if the platelet count is more than 1 lakh, then 0 score. Platelet count less than 1 lakh will be 1 score. There is no 2 or 3 score in any of the coagulation profiles. Second feature is international normalized ratio, that is INR more than 1.3, D-dimer level more than 2, and fibrinogen level less than 100, that is hypofibrinogenemia. Basically, these markers we are checking because DIC can be a feature of septic shock and severe sepsis. And then neurologically, we see the Glasgow Coma Scale. If the GCS score is more than 10, that is 11 to 15, and the pupils are reactive, give a score of 0. Irrespective of pupil status, if the Glasgow Coma Scale is 10 or less, you give a score of 1. And if the pupils are fixed bilaterally, GCS is not to be calculated, you give a score of 2. So these are the parameters. And then if there is clinical evidence with 2 or more features present, you call it as sepsis. If sepsis is present with at least one cardiovascular parameter or more, then you will call it as septic shock. Now, have a look at this flowchart. This flowchart is not mentioned in Nelson. But this flowchart summarizes how you are going to use the Phoenix sepsis score. So this is something which is given in the latest review articles. So I have collected it for you. So if there is an unwell child with suspected infection comes to you, you will screen for sepsis. Sepsis is suspected. If yes, then you will assess for organ dysfunction and you will do the Phoenix sepsis scoring system. If the score is equal to or more than 2, then you would say yes, sepsis is confirmed. Then if the child meets criteria for sepsis, this box, the flowchart goes in, that is you will be starting the management in the patient, and simultaneously you will be checking for if the patient is having Phoenix sepsis score with cardiovascular factor at least 1 or more or not. If yes, then the child meets the criteria for septic shock, and here also you will do the management. This box, basically we are doing the management, you are transferring, you are admitting in ICU, and this detailed management we will discuss as for any septic shock patient, right? If none of them is present, then you will monitor, continue to monitor and reassess the patient. Now, update number 2, there is an entity called as hyperferritinemic septic shock which has been defined in new Nelson. It was not there in the older Nelson. What does it say? It says it is a subtype of septic shock which is called as septic shock with hyperferritinemia. It is also called as hyperferritinemic septic shock. When do you say it? If the patient has septic shock as defined on Phoenix score along with serum ferritin more than 3000 milligrams per ml. It is generally seen associated with HLH, that is hemophagocytic lymphohistiocytosis syndrome, either primary, the genetic form, or secondary HLH, and it can be associated with macrophage activation syndrome in autoimmune conditions as well. And then these patients, the prognosis is poor, mortality is high, and they cannot be managed in an emergency or a ward basis. You have to admit them in pediatric ICU setting. The third update is role of POCUS in septic shock. What is POCUS? Point of care ultrasound. So Nelson 22nd edition suggests the use of point of care ultrasound in the initial assessment of all children presenting with shock. So you have to do point of care bedside ultrasound in all the patients of shock wherever feasible. Obviously, if radiologist is not available or the treating intensivist does not know how to use or the ultrasound machine is not working, then obviously you will not use it. But if it is working, it is available, or the intensivist, the pediatric intensivist knows how to use it, it has to be done in the initial assessment according to Nelson wherever possible. Why do we do it? It helps to assess intravascular volume status. It tells you whether when you give fluids, whether there will be a positive hemodynamic response or not. And also it will assess myocardial function in the patient. So it will be useful to rule out cardiogenic shock from the other varieties of shock. And you can also simultaneously do cardiac and lung POCUS. And if you find the patient is having cardiac tamponade, pneumothorax or dilated RV suggesting pulmonary embolus, again, cardiogenic shock can be distinguished from the other types of shock. And it allows segregation of, as I said, cardiogenic from distributive causes. There is another entity called as FAST. What is FAST? Focus assessment with sonography for trauma. It is done in hypovolemic patients or trauma patients who present with shock. It is done to screen for pericardial effusion and hemoperitoneum. However, in septic shock, this may be omitted. But POCUS has to be done all patients of shock, including septic shock.